Here are the top 10 ways to use literacy inside of the classroom.
Number 1, in literacy, I teach a course called Robotics Automated Systems. It's in the manufacturing pathway. I have my students create a VEX robot, and the first thing I do, I have the students look up all the parts, and they have to understand each part function, how does it work, and my students have to be literate in coding, because eventually, once they create the VEX robot, they're actually going to program it. In order to program it, you need to understand the syntax and the language of the program to make it work.
Number 2, I use kinesthetics in the classroom, and I have found that teaching ESOL and SPED students that using songs with their body movements allows them to master a skill with confidence. And they're actively engaged in using that repetition to understand a concept. They're able to learn it and grasp it with confidence. It really comes alive for them, and they're able to tap into their own learning style, which makes it unique for them.
Number 3, well, I use literacy in my classroom in a variety of ways. One particular activity that I use is the Read and Cakewalk activity. This activity allows me to place articles about the content that we're studying around the room, and as music plays, students circulate those articles. Once the music stops, students read the article that is in front of them. They begin to annotate that article, underline any vocabulary they're not familiar with or may be familiar with, in addition to underlining any key phrases, highlighting anything that sparked their interest, writing down those interesting facts. When we're done, we actually come back as a whole group and discuss our articles together and learn from one another.
Number 4, being a speech-language pathologist, I feel that everything I do is supporting literacy. I'm either helping a student with how they articulate language, or we're working on the structure of language, or comprehension itself, and all of those things directly support literacy. I love incorporating literature whenever I can into their lessons, because I want them to understand that if we're working on syntax or the structure of language, the ultimate goal is to help them with reading.
Number 5, we do what I call a 100-hour film festival, and it's kind of a growth off of this 48-hour film festival that cities do. Atlanta does it. What literacy means in my classroom, right? Or what are the 2 big things that I want to push through my instruction? I want to make certain that students come out of it knowing that reading doesn't mean large works. And the second thing is understand and appreciate language, because once you do, it's going to change the way you interact and engage in discourse for the rest of your life.
Number 6, I use literacy in the classroom by using fun, reading, writing, and real-world activities to pique students' interest. What that does is it creates an atmosphere of excitement for the students, and you can see that they get an appetite for literacy, and it's something that can be done at all levels of learners.
Number 7, we use literacy in the classroom in our vocabulary talks. We make sure that we show a picture with the vocabulary. We do hand motions with vocabulary. We use it as our special word all day long when we're in the hallway, when we're on the playground, and we just celebrate any time that we use that vocabulary word. Some of my students even get excited if they can use 2 vocabulary words in a sentence. They get so excited.
Number 8, literacy does play an important role in every lesson I teach, because if the students are just going through the motions, they're not really connecting and making meaning out of what they're learning. So if they have to write about it or discuss it, or just talk with their neighbor about what they're learning, it kind of makes that connection more personal, and then I feel like they grow more as a learner.
9, in reading, we have the reader's workshop that we do with the children, and in that we meet on the floor for a mini lesson, and I have one teaching point that I try to get through to the children that day. And I do lots of modeling for the children. They have to be able to see a lot of this and able for them to do it. So we have the reader's workshop every day. We do shared reading, where I read a book through one time where they listen, and then the second time we go through and we talk.
Number 10. To me, it means more than just being able to read, it means being able to understand. And so one of the things I started doing a couple of years ago was to not focus on just the vocabulary or terminology for the unit that we were covering being a specific definition. I knew that the kids needed to understand it to be able to recognize it, to be able to relate it, and to be able to identify it. I don't want them to just, like I said, memorize. I want them to understand. That, to me, is true literacy.